Today's video is an epic biblical story. This is the QCX Mini from QRP Labs for 40 meters and my other 40 meter rig, the AOE Monster 40. Let's go.
Art of engineering, where we love ham radio. Moscow will never die.
Well, happy to say that I got sick and tired of trying to walk around here without having component legs sticking me in the feet and me bleeding all over the floor and leaving bloody footprints. So I have done a giant sweep up, and believe it or not, this is the shack when it's clean. You should see it when it's a mess. And we also vacuumed. And I swung the Apple Mac around from 1974 so I can watch YouTube video. This is Kevin Laughlin's channel, and he's got a great video there. He's been away sick for quite a while, and it's great to see him back. So welcome back, Kevin. I will definitely be watching that video. And we've actually got space on the bench now, and that, woo, is the QCX Mini, my second attempt at building that rig. I also have a QMX, so I'm going to be kit building. It's Friday night. What a fantastic night to be in the shack and say hello to my two little friends. So, cleared bench, and I'm going to watch some videos, and we are going to build the QCX Mini. Second attempt at this. I'm looking forward to having this on 40 meters. Now, this is a great build, and if you follow the instructions that Hans Summers provides at QRP Labs, you shouldn't have too many problems being successful, but it is a challenging build, I must say, because you're trying to squeeze a transceiver, monoband admittedly, the QMX is slightly bigger than this, but a monoband transceiver into something that's basically the size of what would have been a packet of cigarettes in our more politically and unhealthy times. This is going to be a great thing to have for soda and POTA, but if you want something that's less challenging but with equivalent performance, you can go the QCX PLUS, more through-hole components, and look, that's something you can still take POTA, no problem at all. It's not a massive rig. This is my 160 meter rig. I haven't managed to QSO on this yet. 160 meters around here is pretty dead. I know it's getting out. I've tested it on online SDRs, and I have heard it as far away as Adelaide, which is over 1,000 kilometers away. So I'm hoping at some point in time someone hears my plaintive CQ calls and answers me on 160 and gets me a scalp on this rig. But I'm very happy to have it. And think about how wonderful these rigs would look if you had one for each of the bands, the ham HF bands, and you just stacked them up and made this lovely little arrangement of them. And I am going to get more of these. I know I am. But for the sake of POTA and soda, yes, the Mini, and this is obviously the case for it. And when it's completed, I will show you. I'm not going to go through the whole build process because that's been done to death, and why would you want to see my clumsy efforts at it when you can see some people that are much better at this? But I'm hoping at the end I'll be able to show you a completed rig and a QSO, and maybe even my first outside, maybe POTA? Who knows? Stick around and find out. So there you have it. T1 is installed. Now, last time I stuffed this up, there was a few things that I was doing that were a little bit silly, I think. And the main thing was that I would get sandpaper and clean the enamel off every single lead and then tin them. And that worked okay with the Oz QRP, where the through-hole plated holes were larger. The through holes on these boards are very, very small. And basically what happened was quite a few of the leads wouldn't go through. I had to jam them through. It was very difficult. And the other thing was that it just got very awkward. I also made my leads too short. This time I made the leads nice and long, and I made sure they went in the correct holes. And then you just apply a little bit more heat. So I had the iron a little bit higher than what the temperature I normally solder at, only a little bit higher. And I just hold it down there for probably about 10 seconds. Not long enough to lift the track, but long enough to see that little puff of smoke that indicates that the enamel has been melted away. And then I meter out the leads to make sure that the insulation on the or the enamel on the wire is actually gone. So this has gone a lot smoother than my first attempt. Happy days. It is starting. Get that light out of the way. It's starting to get very late, it's almost midnight, and we've just started installing these PA stage transistors. So I'm onto that first transistor, and I will do that tomorrow, but I've got to say it's going a lot better than it did last time. I've got a fairly good feeling about this, but I will just do this nice and slowly and make sure I'm well rested and not rushing. I think patience is what needs to happen. Making some good progress. It fired up, that's always good. Success. I did have a problem, and I'm going to tell you all about that in a moment. But we have received now, which is absolutely fantastic, and the rig is alive. And it does fit in the case, because I actually had to take it out of the case because I couldn't get the damn thing to work. Well, I thought that I was finished and we were ready to go. But looking through the bits and pieces that I've ordered, and I've got the QMX in there, I noticed this AGC unit. Now I thought this might be part of the QMX, but the QMX automatic gain control is implemented through software. So this is an add-on for both QCX Pluses and QCX Minis. So that's the Mini, and I've already shown you comparison. That's the QCX Plus. Now I could pop it in this 160 meter rig. It'll go in either, but it's specifically designed to fit inside the QCX, and I think I should optimize performance on this unit and get it as good as it can be. My understanding is from looking at the reviews for this little circuit board is that for the small number of parts, the AGC performs admirably well, and certainly better than not having anything. So we'll be popping that in. Hopefully we won't wreck the thing while we're doing that, and then get it in the case and get it all operational. QRP Labs, what I will be saying about QRP Labs is even these add-ons, when people find a problem with performance and Hans Summers comes up with one of his great solutions, he could price gouge a little bit on this if he wanted to, and he doesn't. So he's a very admirable man in that respect too. The kits are so affordable, which just means people, you know, when they turn up on his site, they go, heck, I'm going to buy 3, not 1. And that's what I tend to do. So we've got, you know, here we are, QRP Labs QDX. If you're into digital modes, this as a starter rig, what a fantastic little unit this is. I've had so much fun with this and made so many contacts. Also, whilst on the site, by accident, inverted commas on purpose, in a very Freudian way, I ordered the case for a linear amplifier just to up the power on this a little bit. Now, I do predominantly operate QRP, but occasionally it's nice to break out with 50 watts of CW. 50 watt CW does amazing things. So it's almost like having a linear on SSB. So what I'm going to do is order that linear amplifier as well. And so you'll be seeing that in upcoming videos. But for now, we'll install this AGC unit, get this thing in the case, and see if we can QSO. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about the construction of your QRP Labs kit is that they tell you to keep cut-off leads, because when you're installing the screen and on a few other things too, I think you need to use cut-off leads. Now, what I've found is quite often when you're doing that, well, for me anyway, because I'm a klutz, the soldering iron will stick to the lead and you'll pull it out, or it'll slide through too far. You don't know whether it's making good contact. So what I'm doing is I have these really cheap ceramic capacitors. You know, they're a few cents each, and really you can probably keep them if you don't put them through too far. But what my idea is it says to solder them top and bottom of the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this capacitor in like that. And that way it's not going to fall out. And I know I've got it way more lead length than I need. I could even probably pull it out a little bit more than that if I want to save the capacitor, if I want to be a real miser. But, you know, I'm not too worried about that. I just want to make sure that it doesn't slide through. We will use these capacitors. I will straighten up those leads though, because I want them to line up with the holes underneath the PCB. So we will straighten those leads as much as we can so we don't have too much trouble getting them to line up with the holes underneath. And we will pop those capacitors in, and that way we don't have any issues with it sliding out. Now, Also, what's really handy is a helping hand like this. But just make sure when you're clipping on that you're not hitting any surface mount components, because it would be a real disaster at this point in time to destroy this board. So we have our soldering iron, and we are going to start soldering in these leads. And I'm going to grab my blind goggles because I can't see what I'm doing. And a microscope is something, when I start getting serious about SMD, I'm definitely going to do it. But at the moment, this has been a godsend. This means that I can see what I'm doing. I can see just like I could when I was, 20 years old. Not half blind. Solder the top first, get that done. Because they're plated through holes, quite often they virtually solder themselves on the bottom. But let's do it anyway. And as you can see here, the capacitor is still usable. And that's the leads. There's 3 more to go. I'm not going to bore you with that. And there you have it, folks. One installed board. We did have a soldered bridge, which caused no amount of angst and grief, but it ended up behaving itself, and we got a bit of wick and it sucked it away. And we've checked it for continuity, and it's all good. So we've broken the bridge, and the SMD component is where it should be. Thank God. You can hear how snug this case is, but had a few problems with it. It seems to have mellowed with being put in and out so many times. They do say to put one end on first, so don't follow what I'm doing, but I've just found for my own purposes this has been easier to do the way I'm doing it now. And the main thing is to make sure that that connector lines up on this side, and that all your buttons and whatnot are. And patience, people, is the other thing. A little bit of squeezing and coercing is good, but you don't want to go too Rambo on it. And there you have it, folks. It's already in the case. I will get this all assembled, and we will show you it in its complete and assembled glory. So my first QSO on the QCX Mini 40 meter rig from QRP Labs, Zulu Lima 1 Hotel Juliet Mick in Te Kuiti in New Zealand. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm running 5 watts, obviously. The QRP Labs QCX Mini, this is my second go at building it. I am so ecstatic that I got it going. Last night had some moments of elation when I fired it up at probably 1 in the morning, and it all worked and all the adjustments went well. It was putting out 5 watts. But then when I went to plug the antenna in and I was selecting the actual antenna, the noise level did not change. And that's always a bad sign with a receiver. So the receiver was completely deaf, even though all the alignments seemed to go well. And that's when I realized that I need to read my instructions more carefully, because when you peak the bandpass filtering on this rig, and the great thing about these rigs for people that haven't built one is that the test equipment is all built inside the rig. Hans Summers is an absolute genius for thinking of being able to do this in a design. I don't know how he does it, but it means you don't need signal generators, you don't need oscilloscopes, all that good stuff. Obviously, if something goes wrong, it's nice if you've got all that stuff, but I've done quite a few builds now, and apart from my one failure on my first QCX Mini, which was completely my own fault for not following the instructions, they've all gone very, very well, and the quality of the circuit boards you receive are very, very good. I've built a QCX Plus for 160 meters. I've built a QDX receiver, digital receiver. Both of those rigs are working fantastic. And now I have the QCX Mini, and I've got a QMX transceiver ready to build as well. So I'm very excited about that. But what happened was no receive. Went back into looking at some of the forums and whatnot. There's a huge number of forums, lots of very knowledgeable people on this. And I ended up looking at the T1 transformer again. I'd continuity tested all the connections. It seemed to be right. But sometimes when you're continuity testing, you might be touching the top of a wire that's still got an enamel on it and the pad, and you think you've got continuity and you don't, or you've got very poor continuity. So I ended up resoldering all of those connections, giving them a really good 10-second blast of heat from the iron. I turned it up a little bit. I don't want to damage the board, but I certainly want to burn that enamel off, and plugged it all in. Bandpass filter peak test, 9 instead of, I think it was 6. So suddenly we're in the right territory, and suddenly we had a receiver that was receiving well. That's when I forgot that I hadn't put the automatic gain control board that I had bought as an option. So I had to put that in. Got a solder bridge while I was doing that. Bit more terror along the way, but all sorted out. So if you've got a soldering iron and some solder wick and some side cutters, you're pretty much on the way to building one of those things. I will say that if you're going to build the mini versions of this and not the plus versions, you should also have some form of magnification so you can see very, very well at what you're doing. And an extra pair of helping hands, something that'll hold things in position, is also a must, I believe. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed building the QCX Mini, and I hope to see you in the next episode of The Art of Engineering 7.3.